Welcome to the glamorous life of a Unity asset developer. You spend years making a tool, you spend months fixing bugs, then you spend more months accidentally creating new bugs because you decided the tool needed more features. Then you write a manual, nobody reads the manual. Then you make a tutorial, nobody watches the tutorial. And after all that work, 2 sales, 1 refunded, and 1 guy apparently sued me for mental damage because he used the tool. So now I am in debt. Excellent career choice. Anyway, we're making an infinite combo game in Unity, and we're starting with 1 punch. Because apparently, after all these years, the first thing we need to teach a medieval man is how to hit another medieval man. So let's begin. Before we touch the combo system, let's organize this project. Yes, I know, it's boring, but I've spent enough years opening Unity projects and finding new folder 17 containing final use this one real .prefab to know where this road ends. When you're making folders, you're going to survive. Keep the asset package separate from the game content we're creating. It is not required for ICE to work. It just keeps our stuff from becoming digital soup. Now let's make our little battlefield. We have the player, we have the enemy, and we have the floor. The floor is very important. Without the floor, our medieval warrior is going to discover a completely different combat mechanic. Gravity. And I did not spend years making a combat system just to watch this man fall through the wall. So give him somewhere to stand. Give him somewhere to stand. All right? So now, what we are going to do, we are going to press play, move the character towards the enemy, stop. Stop. Okay, clap for yourself. If you did try to move the character, please go to the left. If you did try to move the character, go to the left. Clap for yourself once again. You have now been titled the moron of today. Because obviously, we haven't even gotten to that point yet. So as you can see, what I have here is what we are going to try to reproduce. You can delete this nonsense ball over here. We don't need it. Oh, that was the ground. Oh, we do need the ground. I was saying we can delete this. You don't need it, but anyways, that's not the point of this video. Okay. Don't worry about it. We have the plane. So now you have your plane. You need to make sure that you have your characters, guys. Get a character. You can use Mixamo. I use the Mixamo. The characters I got are from Mixamo. Same with the animation. So make sure you do have the ICE imported into your Unity project before you begin this tutorial. Erica baby, Erica. Anyways, while Erica is busy dressing, you know women like to take their time. So we are going to focus on the ninja. Where is the ninja? I think this is him. Okay, no, that's not him. Oh, he's in junks. Alright, so we bring out the ninja. As you can see, we currently have our animator controllers on our models. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. Just figure that out on your own because that's not the scope of this tutorial. But if you have a character, make sure the character is humanoid. This isn't for generic animations, but only for oh my god, am I forgetting English? Anyways, okay, so before ICE handles our attacks, our characters need to work as a normal Unity character. Infinity Combo Editor is not here to replace your entire character controller. We're using it to handle the combat flow, what move happens, what can come next, and when those moves are allowed to happen. So before we do that, we are going to first of all make our own custom character controller. You can figure that out on your own as well. So I'm just going to speed track that because I've already done that. So the first thing we will do is to assign a controller to Erica. And this is very important that I need to say some few things here. You don't really need to mind what is currently on your screen. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, this isn't really I don't know why my animator is bugging out. Okay, it isn't really important because we would be referring to them directly. So the transitions don't really matter how they look. You just have them all in your animator without transitions. And the script I'm using doesn't really also use transitions. It uses its own different handling. So I call it simple character controller. And no, I won't be giving you this script because I'm too lazy to find somewhere to upload this script. So get your own script. Or you could even have AI to make you a very simple script. Just send AI a screenshot of your animator and it's going to get you something exactly the way you named it. Now, the naming is very important. Make sure you name things in a way that it makes sense, not I am a dragon as a name. That doesn't make sense, guys. All right, so once you've done that, you assign. Okay, so if I press W, our guy moves. If I press AD, he turns. That's fine. Beautiful. He has a job, as you can see. We are not going to spend 20 minutes explaining how W works. You have suffered enough. All right, so now that is working, we're going to go to the next thing. Next thing I'm going to tell you guys is now the animator setup. The animator setup. As you can see, guys, our character also has an animator controller, and this is important. We're not replacing Unity's animator. ICE is going to work with it. For example, we already have a state called punch. So you can see the state here. This is punch is in capital letter. Now this is important because how you name your, like I told you, how you name your states are very important. So you just make sure you name them in a way you can later refer to them. Because trust me, you don't want to speak to the guy that has 100 moves to implement into his game. Yeah. So later our combo move can point at that state and tell the animator, yes, this one, make the man punch. The animator handles the actual animation. The combo system decides when that move should happen. There are two jobs. Everybody goes home. So what we are going to do now, our enemy needs to be ready to receive combat data later. So we are adding combo hotbox and combo health because of that. This is how we build it. We're going to build it slowly till we get to the final stage. So we are going to go with combo health and combo hotbox. All right, so just once you've done that, leave it the way it is. Do not start configuring the entire damage system. We're not doing that yet. Right now, we're just preparing the target. Basically, we're putting a mailbox on the enemy before we start sending letters. He will suffer later. Give him a minute. All right, so the next thing we're going to do now, we can finally bring the thing I spent an unreasonable amount of my life building into the picture. This is Infinite Combo Editor. We are going to do something again just to be sure. I discovered a bug and I'm going to explain the reason why I'm starting with you guys from scratch. Okay, so let's just assume we don't have any of these available. So we are going to start creating new one. All right. Infinite combo, no. Like I told you guys, avoid creating things inside the ICE folder. Go to where you have your own assets, where you have everything there, and just dump it there. So I'm going to create this one as all right, so that has been created, as you can see. Lesson for dummies, and we are going to create a runtime. You did that create a runtime from here. The runtime and the authoring are the same kind of graph format, so it's not really necessary. But to be safe, I always advise you guys to create the runtime from this section. All right. All right. So you can see that something happened, right? It will always take you into the Infinite Combo Editor, and that is where the mistake is. I don't want that to keep happening. So I'm just gonna X this out of there, take it all the way back here, dump it here. I hope there is no mistake. All right, so now that we have these two, what kind of magic is this? That's so strange. Delete. Let me see, how many dummies do I have now? Runtime for dummies. Let us see. All right, good. So we have these two set up. All right, there is no move currently in a graph. Let's remove all these extra panels to see things clearly. So the first thing we're going to do now is to create your node. All right, create your node. All right, so you're going to create your node. The reason why we call it node is because, yes, it's a node. So in the node, currently the only thing we have here is move. Don't start with this. Do not touch it. Don't you dare. All right, so we're going to start with move. All right, and we are going to call this move punch. Let me put everything in capital letter, P-U-N-C-H. Punch, very advanced naming system. Years of development went into this, by the way, so don't you dare question me. So the input action we're going to be using is called light attack. All right, light attack. You can name it whatever you want to name it. Okay, and for the animation state, we're going to use what? If you remember correctly, we talked about the animator name matters a lot. The animator name matters a lot, and that's where we're coming back to punch. Because if it was going to be this one I was referring to, I would state that exactly the same way. So for the animator state, we are currently using punch as well. NCH, punch as well. The move name doesn't really matter. The move name can remain as whatever you want to name it. Actually, in fact, we can use it as primary, P-U-N-C-H, primary punch. All right, so this is a starter because this is your first move. So now this is the input action. All right, I've done that. I've set it to light attack, and before you think light attack is some magical Unity word, no, it is just a logical action name. We're telling ICE this move belongs to the light attack session. That is what we call a logical word action name. Later, our input profile decides which action button produces that action. All right. Later, our input profile decides which actual button produces that action. So animator state goes to punch because that is the animation state we already have, and because this is our first move, it is a starter. There's no way to combo from yet. There is no way to combo from yet. We're standing at the front door. Okay, so now that we have this, okay, before we sing this, which is here, I want you to check the move guide. If yours is empty, fix that before you continue. This is one of those tiny editor details that can quietly ruin your afternoon. The guide gives the move a persistent identity, so the authoring move and the runtime move can actually agree on who the hell they are. Once it is valid, sync it there. Once it is valid, sync it. So I'm going to put it on anything random. You can say anything random. All right, so I'll be going with 1. All right, and then we click on sync. There, look at that ugly little string. Beautiful, absolutely disgusting. Exactly what we wanted. So the guy, you just need a guy. I think it might be a little bug actually. I think because I absolutely don't fucking know how that fucking entered into that place, but it can happen. And for now, what you have to do is to just assign something in that field, 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever number you want to put in that field, put it there. So Now we've done that, or okay, how important it is. You know, earlier on we made the runtime version of the data. Okay, the authoring graph is usually what we edit, and the runtime graph is what the game actually consumes. So we sync our punch. So whatever you're editing happens on the authoring graph, and whatever should happen in the game happens in the runtime graph. And the runtime graph, you don't edit the runtime graph because it's on the runtime side of the game. And the runtime also cannot edit the editor side of the tool, which is the authoring. So after syncing, check the runtime asset. If the move count is still 0, do not continue pretending everything is fine. Ask the traditional Unity developer question, what did I break? Then fix it before moving on. Future you will hate the present you if you don't. Alright, so now we are going to check if something entered. As you can see, voila, primary punch is there, which means it did sync. So we go to the next move. So now we are going to be creating our combo input profile. Then we are going to add light attack and bind it to the chosen Unity input system action or button. Add light attack and bind it to the chosen Unity input system action or button. Now we need to tell IC what light attack actually means. Remember, light attack is a logical action. It is not automatically left mouse. Our input profile is the translator. Other one, infinite combo. There you go, input profile. You name it lesson for dummies. All right, so you can see some things are looking alike even though they are not alike. But anyways, after you do that, you're going to add a binding, and this binding is very important. The binding is very important. Okay, the binding is going to be very important, and this is where it matters, the action name. And now, you know, we talked about, well, we have the legacy as well. The legacy, since we're not using the old input system, we can definitely ignore this completely. And since we're using the new input system, you create your own input action. And when you create your own input action, you create your action map. When you're done creating your action map, here you go with the create your attack as well. Okay, so that's where that version stops, and now we're going to continue from here. We are going to be I'm going to now assume you've created your buttons and your action map, your action key. You're going to come back here. Take note that action name must actually be the same as the action name in the graph. So after doing that, you go to input action reference, and you search for what you typed there. It could be any name you used, but make sure you remember that name. Like I'm going to explain further about what this light attack and heavy attack means, but for now, so once you assign that, that's pretty simple. We then have to now do one more last task before we can check if everything is working. There is something we call combo manager, and the combo manager is highly needed for the graph to properly work. So now once you've added the combo manager, you're going to look for your combo graph you used, which for us was, let's see, for dummies. All right, try it again. All right, so now we're going to use the combo graph we made. Now take note, the combo manager doesn't do anything with the authoring graph. It only works with the runtime graph. So you're going to take the runtime graph and insert it into the combo graph here, because now this is where we transition into the runtime. And then you drag the animator in as well. And one last thing is needed. which we need to change this input mode from legacy to new input system, and then drag our input profile all the way into drag your input profile all the way into this section. Now with all that, you are good to go. You could just test it out to see if it works. All right, so as we can see, there we go. We have our first punch. The moment of truth. Yes. There. One punch. It does not damage anything yet. It does not combo yet. And it does not launch the enemy into another dimension yet. But the entire force pipeline is working. Civilization has been restored. So, this little chain is going to be the foundation of the entire series. The player presses a physical button, the input system turns that into our logical light attack action. The input profile tells IC about the action. Combo Manager receives it and checks the runtime graph. The graph finds punch. Punch tells the animator to play punch. That is it. We have taken a button pressed and turned it into a combat move. It is a tiny thing. It is also the thing we're going to keep stacking on top of until this poor medieval man has more combo routes than his friends. Right now, warrior can punch the air with incredible confidence. Next, we're going to give that punch a reason to exist. We're going to make it actually hit the enemy, deal damage, and react to the hit. That's where combo attack profile, hitboxes, hotboxes, and combo health start coming together. So now that we are done with this, I'm going to explain to you guys what it's all about. What light attack. I'm going to be talking to you guys about what light attack is all about. Okay, this is important because I don't want you thinking light attack literally means this animation is a light attack. It is better to think of it as a logical input or action name. Let's say, for example, you have, or you could have light attack, heavy attack, jump, dodge, special. These are logical actions, all right? Your combo input profile maps those logical actions to actual controls. For example, mouse left or mouse left button equals light attack, and then your mouse right button is going to be linked to the heavy attack. Then your combo moves can say which logical action starts them. So imagine we eventually have punch, all right? The input action equals what? Light attack. Heavy slash input action, heavy attack. So those light attack and heavy attack are basically like the categorizing factor there. So is it a light attack? Is it a heavy attack? It's just a logical name, all right? So the key point here is that the input action and the input actions for the editor and for the input system are matching the same with the states. Okay, whatever you name your graph doesn't matter, or the move doesn't matter. Just know that these are just names. All right. The heavy attack could be a kick. The light attack could be a heavy slash. It doesn't matter. And then you have another kick, which could be a light attack. You have a power strike, which could be a heavy attack. Now, ICE doesn't care that one animation is called punch and another is called heavy slash. It understands the input category. This becomes much more useful once we start building actual combo routes. For example, light attack, punch, punch 2, uppercut, wild heavy attack, heavy slash, finisher. Or you could have light attack, punch, light attack, kick. Heavy attack, heavy slash. The exact move that gets selected depends on the graph's available moves. Starter, transition rules, timing, and the current combo context. And this is where the system gets interesting. Suppose the player presses light attack. ICE receives light attack. It looks at the current combo state. If we're at the beginning, current state equals none. Input equals light attack. It can choose a starter that accepts light attack, punch, After punch, current state is now punch. Now you put input again, light attack. Now it looks for valid moves connected from punch that accepts that input, which is punch again. So we now have punch that is connected to punch 2. So then punch 2 is connected to a heavy then punch 2 is connected to a heavy attack, which is uppercut. So the player could do left, left, right, and IC interprets that as punch, punch 2, uppercut. That's why I don't want us to treat the input action field as merely the button that plays this animation. It's part of the language of the combo graph. One sub 2 but important point. Light attack and heavy attack are names you choose, not magical Unity keywords. You could call them light attack, heavy attack, which is sensible, but technically you could call them attack A, attack B, banana, sword button, and the system could still use them as logical actions if everything is mapped consistently. For the tutorial though, we should absolutely keep using light attack and heavy attack because they communicate the intent clearly and make the graph easy for viewers to understand. And I will introduce heavy attack later, not in part 1. Part 1 only needs light attack, which is point. Part 1 only needs light attack, which is punch. We plant the concept now, then actually use heavy attack when we have enough moves for it to make sense. Alright, see you guys in part 2.